Welcome back, everybody. I'm just getting rid of my stuff here so I can see chat. And today we're going to do this kind of, I don't know, cute, creepy. I think he's funny. Pumpkin gourd, I guess you could say it's a gourd. Gourd. We'll call him Gourd. Gourd the gourd. All right. And I have the traceable for you that I drew out for you, and you can download that, and you can find that on my Patreon and all levels with the traceables, and also my YouTube membership. And you just have to look for the join button underneath this underneath your YouTube screen. Or you can go in my description and there should be a link there for you that you can click on there. And it'll give you all the information and what the levels are all about, and decide what you want to do there. And for all those that have joined me, I really appreciate it. The support is what keeps me going on YouTube. So thank you very, very much. So today we're going to do this, and I'm going to do it in a mixed media. Sorry, forgot my mic again. Mixed media, is that better? Mixed media watercolor. I'm not sure what I want to do. I might go into pastels. I might go into colored pencils. We'll see what I'm feeling like. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in caps so I can see that you're asking me a question. And I won't think you're yelling at me. And sometimes I don't catch it right away because I get too involved in this, but just give me a bit of time and then I will answer it. Or if there's someone in the chat that may know the answer, then they'll probably type in too. So I am going to use this watercolor paper. This is 140 pound. It's not 100% cotton. It's just cellulose. And I'm used to it, so I find that it's just fine for me. So I did run this through my printer, my inkjet printer. I have an Epson, and usually the paint doesn't really run on it. Epson ink is pretty good that way. If you not sure about your ink, you might want to test it first, or you can just trace it out with with this graphite paper, or this is Sorel paper, and then get yours ready on your. This is cold pressed also, so it's got a little bit of tooth to it, which is good for pan pastels. And we'll see. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them or not. I could use colored pencils too. We'll see. So the first thing I'll show you the reference photo that I got, and I don't remember where I got this, to tell you the truth. It's been on my computer for a while. And just love the face. So we're going to start off with watercolor, and I'm going to use, let's see, a fairly large brush first, just to wet some areas. And here's my bigger. I I really tend to go towards these silver black velvet. This is a number 8. And then I also have a number 6, a 4, and a 2, I think. And they always have a really nice point to them. And that's what I like about them. You can use whatever you have on hand. Don't think you have to go out and buy something new to try this. If you haven't tried watercolor, then I'd suggest just buying even Strathmore watercolor will be fine to try out. And then there are some fairly good, inexpensive watercolors if you haven't got any too. The best person to go to as far as finding out what watercolors work best, I would go to the Frugal Crafter, or also Lena, and her channel is Miss Linux 2010, and she's got quite an assortment of watercolors, and have tried the different cheaper varieties too. So check them out if you're thinking of getting some watercolor. I have an assortment. I don't stick to one brand. I tend to find the colors that I want. And you don't need all of these colors. You could stick with just your primaries and then gradually add to them depending on, what you find you use the most of. And that's basically what I have done. I also have a paper towel just to wipe off some of the water in case you get water on the ferrule of your brush. It could drip on, and then it makes a mess of your paper. So right now we're going to be putting in a base coat, and as you can see, it's kind of got this almost, I'm not sure how you're seeing it. It's actually kind of a yellowish peachy color. And we're going to put, I think I'm going to start off with Indian Yellow by Core. And I sprayed my palette to soften up the paints. You could also go into yellow ochre or raw sienna. So I'm going to put a little bit of raw sienna with this just to warm it up a little bit. I don't want it too green looking. It's kind of looking green on my screen here, but it's actually not. Maybe I'm going to just dab a bit of orange on there too. Okay, and then lots of water on my brush. And I'm just going to put this to the side here. And the center of his face is basically where you see the this color. So I'm going to go in where I know that this color is definite. And then with a wet brush, I'm just going to go around those areas. This wet brush. I don't want any hard lines on this. And a little bit more in the lip area. And then we'll be putting other coats of, hard to say, paper, or not paper, pen pastels, or not sure what I plan to do. If you got any suggestions, you can put it in the description or in the chat. Do want it fairly loose, not heavy lines. Now it's moving a little bit, but not much, so I'm good with that. You can't put a fixative on this because then your watercolor wouldn't work properly. All right, so while that's kind of drying, in the outer core of the gourd is the skin, and it's showing up as almost bluish in tone. And I think what I'm going to do is use some Payne's Gray, and then I'll decide whether I need to add anything, maybe going into a little bit of purple. That could work too for the deep shadows. But again, it's just going to be a real light coat. So as you can see, there's some highlights on this in quite a few areas. So I'm going to try and get my Payne's Gray fairly weak, I guess you could say. Got some Payne's Gray here, and my Payne's Gray is Winsor & Newton Payne's Gray. I'm just going to put it over here. All right, so just going to fill in. I forgot to put a line here, so I'm just going to go around that. Very, very light in color. Just to let that color shine on that one area. And I'm not wetting the area with water first, just so that I can keep kind of control of where the paint is going. You might have a few areas that are a little bit darker on one side, or where the ribs of the gourd is going. So if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. Or if you're watching the replay, you can put that in the comments below. Now, this would probably be a little darker down here because it's underneath. Like that. I forgot another line. And you can make your gourd any color you want. It doesn't have to be this color. All right. Can you hear me? Oh, hopefully. And the stem on the head is going to be really, 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 really light. So I have some umber here. And I'm just going to put a real light coat of umber on the stem part. Like so. Looks pretty good. Now I can go with a little bit more under here, that color, because it would be darker under the stem area. I'm just going to put a little bit of that there. And wherever there's some of these lines where the ribbing of the gourd is. You put some of those in there. And it's almost, it's just starting to dry. So I am going to get maybe a little bit of cauliflowering, but that's fine. It'll give it more character in this instance, which will be actually probably look good. And get a little bit more just under here because it would be fairly dark. That. And that. Hey, Kim. Grumpy Gourd, yeah. I like him. I think he's cute. All right, I'm going to dry that with my heat gun. So this was fairly easy to do. So I hope all of you will give it a try. It's all drawn out for you. And watercolors, this way I'm doing it is fairly easy. So hope you try it. And with a board, if you mess up, doesn't matter. Yeah, it does kind of look like it has. Yeah. You want this fairly dry. All right. All right. So now what I'm going to do is intensify the colors a little bit, basically with the same colors that I've been using. I'm not going to go into the green yet, though. I'm going to concentrate more or less on the yellow color and the outer coat of the gourd. Pumpkin gourd, I don't know. Gonna get some more Payne's Gray, a little bit thicker this time. And we could almost go into a purple on the bottom here because it gets really, really dark. But I'm going to stick to this color right now. And I want it fairly dark right underneath the stem here. So this is where the shadows would be the most. And he's bumpy, so don't worry too much about being exact. You don't. This is a good one that you can kind of play with it a little, not feel too worried about having the exact color or maybe bump, because all gourds are different. You could even put a bunch of specks on there if you wanted to. Speckle them. I'm just putting a little bit there. Kind of shows this comes out a little bit, and this area kind of goes in a little bit on the side here. And he's going to have all kinds of little lumps and bumps and whatnots in his skin. Now, around the outer edge, you'll have a dark area. And this is where the skin was cut off. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? I'm just going to darken the edge here with just plain Payne's Gray. That. You can go over top of the other area a little bit, doesn't matter. And my pattern lines are going to show, but I drew it out in a way that it's not going to give it a problem. It kind of enhances it a little bit. Not everyone likes to see the lines of the pattern, but I don't mind them. But if you're one that doesn't like it, when you're tracing the design, the drawing, you can always just erase the lines just to the point where it's almost invisible, but you can still see the detail. And then that way, once it's covered, you're not going to get a whole lot of that showing through. I like him. I think he's cute. Feel a little bit shaded there. As you come down here, it gets darker because of the shading. I'm going to take a little bit of, let's see, I guess a dioxazine purple and put it over here. You could mix a little bit of that blue with it. And then let's put some of this in here, just along the very bottom here where it would be quite dark. And it's still see-through, so your other layers are going to show. But it gives it kind of a neat look. Put a few here and there. Might want to darken the edges, or you can wait till we use colored pencil for that. But I like to add a little bit of this kind of all over the area, just not in one area. It kind of helps the composition a bit when you do that. Might have a little bit in there and underneath here, darken the area a little bit. All right. Thanks. All right. So let's fix this up a little bit. That was the raw umber I have here. I think raw umber for me anyways, it has to be the best natural brown for nature. It works for so much. I'm just going to put a little bit of shading here and there. And then we'll do most of the detail with either the pen or pencil or whatever we decide to do. Maybe a little bit in here. Right there. All right. All right. Let's I think I'm just going to use raw sienna for this part. I just want to enhance the wrinkles. So he's got quite a few wrinkles here. I should have another brush. Where's that other brush? Okay, where did I put my other brush? Oh my gosh. Let's fix this up a little bit. I just want soft lines. I don't want hard lines. If you have a littler, I don't know where I put my other brush. Take out another one. Just for wetting and smoothing out the edges. Sometimes it's a little easier depending on where you're painting. Maybe you are in an area where the paint stays wet for a while. Mine doesn't seem to, so I don't want it drying hard. And I don't really want to scrub this paper. Now you can, because this is watercolor paper, so you do have a little bit more time than if, say, you were using sketchbook paper. So I can actually take some of this away. Have some areas in there. I want a clean brush, so I'm cleaning my brush off. It's clean water. And then just lighten some of the areas too, where the wrinkles are. I don't have to get too crazy about it, because I'm going to use colored pencil probably, or pan pastels. Not sure. It does have quite a few wrinkles. I don't know why, but I tend to, whenever I do these guys, I tend to go for the wrinkly guy. I don't know if it's the challenge I like, or but I think they've got a lot of storytelling to do. Just soften the edge. Not all edges have to be softened. Some you might want to leave hard lines, but I don't want dog hair. A little bit in there. Under his nose would be darker. Up in around his nostril would be darker. Down in here. Softer. This does help though when you're starting it out with watercolor. Less work. Takes a long time to get down color with just pencil. There we go. I'll probably do quite a bit of pencil in there, I think. Me, I love detail, as you know. Darken there. Around there. I'm going to put a little bit more in there. And then these wrinkles that kind of come up on the side here. More or less this darker color. I'm just going to soften the edge a little bit. Probably go back in and make those lines a little bit darker in the center. You could take a long time to do this, like photorealistic, but I'm just having fun here. So it's not going to be a super realistic drawing. A bit softer there. Softer in there. And a bit more around there. There's some of the ink is starting to move a little bit, but actually it's going kind of a purpley color, so I don't mind it. You never know. Might find something you like here. This has to be a little bit on the yellowy side here. That. Maybe a little bit down in here where his jowls are. cute. There. So a lot of this is green, so not too worried about having it exact. That. It looks good. All right, so what can we do? I think I'm going to try the green. I have Daniel Smith Green Apatite Genuine. It's great because it's a granulating one, so it'll give it that grainy look, and it's also the perfect color for this guy in the face. Perfect color for a lot of things. I love this particular color. So I'm going to use my bigger brush. And let's see, we'll go, I know there's green in there. All right. Just going to soften this a little bit. Take my stiffer brush. You'll find too that some of your watercolors stain more than others. So this one here is staining a little bit more than that yellow we used. So I'm going to have to be a little more careful with it. As far as leaving it too long before I mix it. So when you find that, you can also wet areas. So I know this all along here, the side, is that color. So then I can just take some water on my brush and then some paint and let it do its thing. And if it's a little bit patchy looking, that's fine. In this particular face, patchy is kind of looking cool. So I'm not going to worry about whether it's a smooth looking face or not. He doesn't have a smooth looking face. Might give him even more character. If his, you can see the granulation of the brown coming in it, which is kind of cool. Let's get some more of that. Maybe just a tad more up here. And I can match my color pencils or pastels, whatever it is I'm going to be using with these colors. So I'm not worried about putting down a color that I can't get a close match to. So it's fairly green in here. I know that. It does kind of start to mingle with that other color, but just have to play with it a little bit. A lot of that will be done with colored pencil maybe. You can try putting some in, but I'll probably use a lot of colored pencil in those tiny little areas that I want that detail. Yeah, isn't it pretty green? I love that green. Okay, a little bit water on my brush, some more, a little bit lighter consistency. And then I'm going to add it right down in here, but leave a little bit of that yellow shining through. And then I want to soften those areas a little bit. I don't want a hard line. It's just about playing, trying things. I know this down here, his chin is going to be pretty dark. I'm going to put some there and some here. And then I'll just use a wet brush. Bit there. Goes up into his lip here. Let's see. Right about here. More there. It's soft, just softly integrate into that other color. More enhanced where those lines are. I put in the darkest areas so you could know where to concentrate most of your darkest colors. So a little bit in here. But if you don't get it right on, I wouldn't worry about it. Nobody's gonna say it doesn't look right because the color's in the wrong area. This green with the brown, it kind of gives him a little bit of a dirty look too, which is good. I like it. He's got quite a bit of green on his schnoz here. And then it kind of just curls up like that. It's cute. A little bit more concentrated on one side. Bring a little bit of that green in with some of these lines here. The squints of his eye there. Now, if you need the traceable, you can just take a screenshot of the traceable that I put on where you download your traceable. There's a full colored picture. Just take a screenshot of that, and then you should be able to use that for if that's what you need. Or you can paint with me, but you know, doesn't have to be exact. Hey, Devin, good to see you. There is a traceable for this if you want to give it a try. It's fun. It's fun because it doesn't have to be exact, because it's a pumpkin. Somebody carved this guy, so no two are the same. A little bit softening in there. That. All right, I think he's looking pretty good. A little bit more green in there. Up into the eye there. And this needs some sienna. Right in here. Down in here. Let's play. I'm just trying to take out those real hard edges. If you don't mind them, then leave them. Let's see. Okay, we could probably put a little bit more in the creases here, where his mouth is. A bit darker in there. Oh, see, I have a tendency to go overboard with smoothness. All right, I'm going to put his eyeball in. So it's going to be kind of a gold color. So let's do yellow ochre and a little bit of darker edge. Like that. And I'm going to put maybe I'm going to mix a little bit of that sienna with just a tad of umber. I want it a little bit darker for some of these real shadowed areas, but I don't want just umber. It's a little warmer, but I do want them in there. You know, could almost go into a reddish tinge to it. In here, along his eye, and along his eyeball. That fairly Well, I won't do that yet. Right in there. Just the darkest areas, I guess. Right in here where his nose and lip part, it'd be darker. And along his nose and down the side here. Jowl, I guess you'd call it. A little bit more like that. And maybe right in here where his lip curls up. That would probably be a little darker. And some of the jowls are dark. A lot of that I'll just do with colored pencil. Here's my brush. It's sitting right there. I swear I have fairies in my studio. Because I can be looking all over the place and repeatedly in the same place. Look, can't find it. And then I'll go back half an hour later and it's sitting right there in plain sight. Do you guys get that? Or is it just me? I really, who's playing with me? You get that? I remember one time I was filming and I usually unhook my camera and everything after I'm done. And so I got all done and then I get up and I start unhooking everything. And my camera was unhooked. And I know I didn't get up and unhook it. It's like, it's kind of spooky, actually. Like, okay. Somebody is playing games. But I'm not, this isn't the first time. My whole life I've had that. So I don't know whether just sensitive to that, maybe. I don't know. As long as it's not going to be bad, and then, they can stick around. Just don't interfere. That's pretty good. I need a little bit more dark in here, though. Right in here, it's fairly dark. Just to show that nose up. And down here. These are great brushes for points, like I said before. Love them. Best brushes ever. And fairly reasonable. They're not expensive, so if you're thinking of buying some brushes, I remember some of your ghost stories get you to. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot here. Sometimes I get creeped out, but not too often. And so usually down here in the basement. Why is that? Why is the basement like that you hear the stories about. It's usually the basement. I think this, I'm going to put a bit on the bottom here. Get dirty, a little dirtied up. It shouldn't be bright. Right in there. Basements or attics. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they are. When I was looking for this house, we were going through all kinds of different homes, and I just was in the time where houses were really hard to get because everyone was like bidding for them, even in this small town. And I thought, I got to look at everything because I had to be out of my house in 6 weeks when I sold my house. And so I didn't have time to do a whole lot of sitting and thinking. And I remember my sister came with me a lot of the time to look at houses, and there was this beautiful old Victorian house, and it was had been redone. It was beautiful. It sat on a double lot, and it was really priced reasonable. I thought, oh, is that ever? I love old homes. And is that ever a beautiful house? So I made an appointment to see it. And nobody was living in it at the time. And you went in and it seemed dark. And I thought, oh, well, it's kind of a gray day. Maybe that's it. We were looking at it, and some beautiful, beautiful architecture and woodwork and all this stuff. And I was thinking, oh, this is really beautiful. I really like it. And I could sell the other lot and pay the house off with it, type of thing. So I thought, oh, this might be a way to go. And then I thought, well, I want to see what the attic's like. So we went up into the attic. It was a huge, huge attic. It had windows in both ends, and you were able to stand straight up in it. And it looked like somebody had started to drywall it and make it into a room because all the electricity was up there, and it was great. And like I said, when we went in this house, it was empty. And then when we got up there, right in the very center of the attic, sitting up on a pallet, was this humongous trunk, old trunk. Huge, sitting there in the middle of the attic all by itself. And nothing else was in the house but that trunk. Everything had been cleared. So I looked at it, and my sister goes, oh, you should go open it. And I said, nope. And I thought, no. Why is somebody leaving this beautiful old trunk up here? Because it had been cleaned. Everything was cleaned out. Everything was nice. And they couldn't take that one trunk with them? So that basically stop the sale of that house. Right? Well, and so what we ended up finding out the history of the house. It was one of the first houses in the village that was built, and it was the doctor's house, and he had rooms that patients would stay in. So, yeah. Nope. I'm saying ghosts. So that was the end of that. No way. I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow down there. Nice little schnoz. Yeah. That was a big, big red flag for sure. Yeah, I know. And that's how it starts is these darn, antiques or well, even can be just the house itself too, eh? So I'm going to put a little bit of dark in just around the eye here. And right in here. And just a wet brush. Tease out the color a little bit. Now I'm going to use a little bit of, let's do Payne's Gray, or actually this is indigo with that umber, and that usually gives you a nice black. So put the black in here for his eyeball, just as a start. I'll probably use pen or something. Okay, we'll leave that for now. Let it dry. And let's see. This needs to be a little darker. Right in there. Kind of like that dry brush look. On that. A little bit darker right there. This is actually darker right there, right around that smirk of his. And in here, I'm just going to kind of dry brush it a bit with the flat of my and right there. You can go back in, darken areas. Let's see. Just in the top area there is pretty dark. Okay. I'll just take my wet brush and just soften the edge a little, just a bit. Don't mind it being dark, but I don't want a real hard line. There would be a little bit of highlight in there, and let's put a little bit more like that. That's kind of cool. A little bit over there. Right in here. There's quite a few areas, wrinkles that are dark. Right in here. And they're showing quite a bit of dark in the folds. So we'll just put a little bit of that in there. Soften that a little bit, just on the ends, so they're not too hard looking. Okay, that's pretty good. Right down there, I think. Like that. Okay, I'm going to leave the face for a minute. Let's see what we can do with this word. I'm going to take some of that black and blue, and maybe, let's see what we can, just rough it up a little. A little bit of that black and blue, a little bit of umber, and that's fairly dark in there. Could be darker. Lots of more or less very textural looking. I'm going to mix a little bit more of that blue and black together. Or not black, umber. Make that nice dark. Looks good. Soften this line a little bit. Now some really darks in here, because this is the underneath, so actually would be fairly thick. And I want it fairly opaque. So you would have a little bit of highlight here and there, but not a lot. And it's fairly dark along the edge. I could probably go in with colored pencil and do this, but we'll do a little bit of this here too. A little bit darker in there. There, would be darker. And along the very bottom. And again, there's lots of bumps and lumps in this guy. So as you can see, you think you put a lot of dark color in there and then it dries. They always dry lighter. So that's why a lot of times you have to go back in and darken things. It's hard to judge the color when you first put it down. I guess if you're doing it constantly using these colors, you get to eventually learn how they dry. This is very dark in here. It's going to need a bunch more. Down there. And here. And I'm going to put some like that. This could be darker. Right in here again. Add some more. Yeah. And right under here, it is darker because it's the shadow of this stem. I'll probably go in with a lot of colored pencil with this area. Might use some pen work too. Let's see. Dots in there. All right, it's looking pretty good. I think I'm just going to put a bigger brush, some shadow under here. It's one thing I don't like is having my pumpkin sitting in midair. We'll just do that for now. And we'll darken it later. So let's give that a dry. Try the back. You want to make sure it's very, very dry if you're going to use any kind of pen or colored pencil on top. It will rip the paper. All right. Now let's do a little bit of colored pencil. I love colored pencil, as you know. So I have a Lazy Susan with a bunch of containers holding my colored pencils beside me. And that way I can just rotate it and pick my colors accordingly. Do I want to do some pen work first? Maybe I'll do pen work first. Okay. I have this, let's see, I have brown Indian ink, or I have this new ink here, but I don't know if it says brown. I don't know. I'll leave this here. And I have a dip pen. This is a very, I think they call it a mapping pen. And just put my watercolor aside there. Open this up. I like fairly small lines. I want to do a little bit on this kind of scratchy. I'll show you here. Now there are little lines going along there. That's what I want to do. So, but we have to follow the line of the way the stem was growing. I like these pens because they can give you small, medium, large lines, fine lines. So I thought this would be a good way of, I want to get used to the pen too. I haven't done a whole lot of pen work in a long time. And what you don't do, you lose. So basically, that's what I have to relearn is line work. It is running this way. There's some thicker lines. There's some smaller ones, longer ones, short. Now, the reason why I did the ink first is because a lot of my colored pencil are wax-based. So it would be a little bit difficult going over top of it with ink afterwards. These are the things you have to consider when you're doing mixed media. What colors or what mediums to put on first? Do they reconstitute if wet, or do they resist, that type of thing? Now I can go back in with a little bit more watercolor afterwards if I want to. With Indian ink, it's once it's dry, it's permanent. You just have to have a little go at playing. Okay, that's good for that. Maybe around the edge here a little bit. Darker on one side than the other. A little bit more line work on one side because of that. We have the must had another stem attached to it. That's why you got this little thingy on the top here. It's gnarly looking. Bye, Darlene. Thanks for coming. All right. It's not a lot of definite line per se. It's more a softer looking in the, well, I guess I could put a little bit in there on the squint of the eye right here. Just to darken it to the brown color. So I don't want a lot of line in the face because it isn't necessarily a line. Just put some, no, I don't like that. So let's smear it. We can always go back with colored pencil. So I'm gonna, I always clean my nib after I'm done. Don't leave Indian ink on your nib because you'll wreck your nib. And then you'll have to get another one. I just swish it in water. If you have a toothbrush or something like that, you could scrub it a little bit and then just dry it. Make sure it's dry. Don't leave water on it because it'll rust. All right. Now let's get into the colored pencil. So I'm going to find the greens that I want. And I've got a variety of different colors. That one's not bad. So I'm looking for darker. That's too blue. That's nice green. See what this one is. Maybe that one there. Yeah, I think it's too blue. Let's see what else I got here. Yellow. Kind of a sepia color. That might work. I'm looking at first for the darkest colors that I need. So could be more in the browns or that's not bad. Color soft. keep that. Okay, let's try these out. Okay. Wish I had a darker green. So, it's not really the green I want. I'm very picky. All right, we'll just see what we can do with these for now. I like these. They're the brass pencil sharpeners, and I find they're easier than my electric, or let's see, it's almost a black green. No, that's blue. About the same. Well, we'll have to see what we can do with this. So I'm just gonna go along some of these wrinkles where they're the darkest. And I just lightly shade it out. They're not hard lines, they're very soft shading. And then you could take, let's see, I need a light yellow, I think. Kind of a, let's see what this, no, that's too yellow. Very pale. Yeah, I'll need that one for sure. See what we can get out of this. It's not bad. There's a little bit of, wherever you have a highlight, you have a shadow, basically. Maybe if I do touch around. This one. I have to take car for servicing liver pump. Okay, Devin, have a good rest of your day. Take care. A little bit of this color in here, maybe. This is a little bit on the olive side. And I don't mind the rough look to it. I don't want all of it that way. I probably should have used hot pressed paper. That way I wouldn't get the texture of the paper. That's the only thing when you're working with colored pencil is it's very difficult to get that smoothness. You kind of have to do most of your initial color in the watercolor. I do like using colored pencil for like really definite details, like very detailed areas. I think it needs it. It's a little bit of a shine on this area here. And brown. Really dark in here. Kind of a more on the reddish side, I guess. And then see if we can blend it with a little bit. It's yellow. Let's try this color. It's all an experiment to know your colored pencils and oops. This one. Yeah, this one's a dud. Hate it when that happens. But we'll do our best. See what we can get. Just work with what we got. What I'm always saying. A little bit of a shine there. A little bit lighter. Right in here. Kind of curves around a bit. Like that. And then we have all these little wrinkles. And they have a highlight on them. And they also have shadowed areas. So we kind of have to pay attention a little bit. Where all the highlights and shadows are. Okay. This is why I don't typically do a whole lot of colored pencil work online. It takes a long time. And a lot of concentration. because you're always switching colors and so he has a lot of let's see. Do I want that? Right under here, it's a little bit darker. It's kind of because of the way his eyes kind of scrunched up. Be a little bit darker there, and then a little darker in the green right in here. But there is a highlight also right above. Even white. In here. And then just a few on the wrinkles, few highlights, not many, but there is a few. And this is highlighted here, its lip. A little bit of yellow around the edges. But I also want a little bit of color in there. His face shows just what I think of Halloween. And you're funny. Well, it's a good thing that Halloween isn't celebrated that much there then. The nostril is dark. Right in there. How you doing, Dot? Hopefully you're well and fairly dark in here. I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Right in there. A little bit of that red color right in here. So if you're going to try doing this one, I would suggest using hot pressed paper instead of cold press. A little easier as far as putting in your colored pencil if you're going to use colored pencil. But if you're not, and you're just going to be using your watercolor, then that's fine. Down in here, a little darker. So lip turned up. More green, more green. Could even get darker than that. Darker right in there. That would be and then a little bit shadow there. A little more shadow in here. Wherever you see those shadows, there'd be highlights, so you got to remember that. And it might not be like a bright white or anything, but it'll be whatever color is surrounding it, but lighter. So that kind of goes there, like that, and then fairly a good line there and here, just in the beginning. Doesn't necessarily. Nope, I want maybe this color. Yeah. Looks good. That's a good color, actually. What is this one? Ochre. Yellow ochre. Good one for the lighter yellow areas for the shadow. Seems to do the trick. Well, that'll be lighter, so let's do some of this. Lighten that area up a bit. And right in here, I think I'll use some white right in here. Some lighter areas. Like that. Just to emphasize his nose a little bit. And a little bit there and a little bit there. Maybe right like that. That ochre. Hope I have another one of those. It's a good one, yellow ochre. So just around the bottom there. Right in here. Like that. This comes up. A little bit of this orangey color right in here, right down deep. And around here. Kind of got that orange, kind of a rusty color in here. That. And maybe a line there. This in here has got quite a bit of this color. And this one is a Faber-Castell. And this is terracotta. Good color for this. I could get really, really carried away with this type of thing. I love this type of work, but I probably won't because I just don't have the time to do this type of thing online, because this part does take longer because of the color pencil. But depends how much you want to do. Like that. I'm going to fix this eye up a bit. That. Fairly dark in here, I think. And then some of this. Yellow. That. Good, good. Just a bit of white here and there, not a lot. But there is a little bit. More of this color here. Like that. And like that. And green, dark green again. This area would be darker. You know, that side of his cheek. And it comes down into his bottom of this area here. Yeah. And then there's a little bit of highlight right in here. Again, highlight, shadow. Put it in there. He's very bumpy, so you got to keep in mind that if you're going to get some areas that are a little bit different looking, it's not going to be smooth looking. Dark brown. Right in here. And that color. And this color. That. And a little bit on his nose here and there. Like that. A little bit of shadowing in there. I'm probably getting too detailed for you guys right now. Can't help myself. See. And this texture does kind of bother me a little bit, but I'm going to work with it. So I'm going to use it for emphasizing the texture of them, I guess. That way it won't look odd. Yeah, a little nose needs more on there. More dark in here. A little darker under here. This could be quite bumpy and lumpy because it's this chin. You know how your chin kind of dimples when you're crying or when you got your mouth up like that. If you're wanting to get into drawing more faces, stand in front of a mirror. It's quite or take some pictures of yourself doing certain facial features. Quite educational. Plus can be funny too. Sharpen this. Oh, I hate it when they break. There. Okay. Oh boy. Oh, that makes me mad. Oh, I'll try one more time. These Prismas, I don't know. Don't like it. See, keeps breaking. Nothing more frustrating. Yeah, it must be broken all the way down. A little bit in here. That. And then right in the eyeball here. That. Mm. And a bit in here. A little bit in here. That. Sorry. See what I get? I start concentrating and then I forget you guys are even here. Sorry. Just the way it is. It's how you get into the, what is it, zone? Yes. And that's all you got on your mind. It's a great place to be, but not when you're streaming. Take that right down to there. Like that. And a little bit on the bottom here. And there'd be all kinds of little lumps and bumps and whatnots in here. Now, with the outer shell here, we could just use a really dark, what's this one? Oh, that'll do. I want a dark, dark, dark here. So this one is Derwent. Oh, this is an Inktense. I don't want that. Blue. I think this is indigo. Yep, there's an indigo. That'll do. Nice and dark. Right up in there. And then a little bit just here and there. I have lots of texture, but I can use a little bit more. And because of this paper, you will get more texture. We have lumps. You could put a few little lumps. So you'd have a shadow, and then you would also have a highlight on the top. Just putting in, I'm not going to get too carried away with this. I'll just put in a few. There are quite a few areas that are lumpy, but let's just put a few in just to give it that texture look. Right in here. Just a few little kind of spots, I guess. And then just along the edge, I'm going to color fairly dark. This is dark along there. The face is recessed. So the skin is the top part that you're seeing. Now you might see a little bit of highlight on the bottom area because the sun might be hitting that thickness. So we'll put a little bit of highlight in there, maybe with, we'll see if colored pencil will do it. I'm not sure. But a little bit of outline. It is showing that in the photo. You can check your reference photo when you're doing this. Like I said, just take a screenshot if you want the reference photo. It's in the community page if you're a member of YouTube, and if you're a member of the Patreon, then it'll be the first notification that you'll see. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take this white and see if I can just outline, maybe a few areas. It's kind of going a little bit on the aqua side, but see what we can do. Try not to go back and forth on the indigo side of the line, then it turns kind of a aqua color. If you're having problems, you could always use a Posca to get that bright white. It's not exactly a bright white, but it's close. It does help putting that in. And then there's some really bright areas too in some of these, like along the ribbing in certain areas. Right there. A lot right in here on the side. That tells me that the sun is coming this direction. So you might want to either get out gouache, or even acrylic paint would work. I've used that before. There are lots of bumps and stuff, but the light is catching parts of that. So you gotta put those in. Even down here, some of these areas. That. And maybe a little bit on the top in here. Not much. I don't think I'm going to go crazy with this part here, but I will put some in just because it shows a bit of it. If you have a white ink, you could use that too. I think that is pretty good. Just want to cover that dark line there. Yeah, some of these dark lines on this side in particular should be covered because this is the lightest side. So you wouldn't see those dark lines on the pumpkin or gourd. Like that. Grumpy gourds. His name is Gordon. Gordon the gourd. Gordy. I crack myself up. Gordy. I think doesn't really have. I'll put a little bit of. I want a little bit of a glint in his eye, just a smidge. Let's do a little bit of this though. Tighten that up a little bit, and I think I want this to be yellow instead, and then dark brown. Where did I put that? It's dark brown right in here. Like that. Okay. And then the center of the eye, I want darker. I'm just going to do the blue, indigo blue. And then a little bit of white Posca. Thanks, Dorothy. So we'll put a little glint in his eye. Like that. Let's see. Can add some lines on here with this too. Where it would be the lightest, the light hitting it. Not the best marker, but right in here. For some reason, it's lighter. That with you in there. Like that. All right, I think it's done. So there's my little guy for this year. I usually do one or every year. So all I have to do is sign it. Well, I guess I should throw a little bit of this under here. Okay. That. Darker in there. Thanks, Dot. All right, there he is. Gordon. I think he has a snail on his head. It kind of looks like it, doesn't it? supposed to be a broken branch. Right, there she is, or he, Gordon. So I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to download it and try it yourself, and we'll see you guys later. Have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.